Okay, now we're streaming.
Good.
Now we've got Michelle and you're streaming. You can start.
I was waiting for you.
Well, I gotta go back to the video to start some more stuff. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll do whatever. I'll do from here.
Okay, call to order a meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee. Roll call.
Counselor Kelly, Counselor Ensel,
Here.
Mayor Reed,
Here.
Counselor Dowdle,
Here.
Counselor McFarland,
Here.
Counselor Armstrong,
Here.
Counselor Kretzer.
Oh, I didn't hear Josh.
Here. I'm here.
Okay, first item is any persons addressing the council on agenda items. Seeing none, moving on. Reports from department representatives and discussions with councilors. Year-to-date report on expenses and revenues from Richard. I don't see Richard yet.
Should do it.
I'll move on to 2.2, council holding its 2019 budget session, final questions and discussions. I don't know if at this point with Councilor Kelly being absent, and we will not be meeting next Thursday. We do have a January 14th, I believe, January 14th deadline.
Roughly 12th to 14th.
12th or 14th for the budget. That once the beginning of the year starts, that we need to finalize our budget, mandated to have one in place by January, middle of January. With that being said, I met yesterday with Richard and Councilor Kelly and the mayor, and I guess we can probably put up the.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
Thanks, Richard.
Oh, here's Richard.
You're welcome.
Beth, you need a different tab, 5 to 10-year budget down the bottom there.
Can you enlarge that a little bit, Beth?
That's the wrong one, though. You need a different tab, Beth. You need 5 10-year budgets down to the bottom,
On the bottom?
right there, yeah.
I can't even read it from the tab.
Enlarge that one. Yep.
Maybe the lights. You get the lights, yep. Thanks, Mike.
You
There.
can go even one more. You don't need those charts in the bottom, really.
Okay. In reviewing this yesterday with with Richard and Councilor Kelly and the mayor, the news is not very promising. If you project out 2019, and as you can see there with a mill rate increase of 3.99, it would still require us to reach that number. It would still require us to make an additional approximately $100,000 permanent reduction in the budget, along with approximately $300,000 in temporary cuts to hit the mill of 3.99. Remind you, that isn't the levy, that's just the mill increase. So I guess my thoughts would be that between now and the beginning of the year, I think as a body, we need to look at any potential savings that we may be able to institute. Any ideas to, I'm not certainly enthralled with that 3.99 number. So I guess I open it up for discussion at this point. Maybe Richard, could you maybe explain the $100,000, the need for the $100,000 and $300,000? Why are we over, where we may be over budget?
Our cost base just keeps going up and our revenue doesn't meet with it by
That's a simple answer.
That's one.
You know, the increases next year for the fire department contract are gonna be a $380,000 increase to the cost base. And by the end of 2020, provided they get some settlement with their 2012 and 2013 contracts, their cost base is going to be in excess of $400,000. And without having any increases going forward, that's a 10-year projection of $4 million. And so that means, you know, a permanent 4% increase in that neighborhood for property taxes, just to cover that.
Just to cover that.
Without any increases going forward from 2020. The projection here also has increases, I think, built in for the police. It has to be at 1.5%. So those are increasing the cost base for our employees.
And I know we discussed yesterday, overtime is way over budget.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. In the report that you have, the second page. You know the
I
numbers
don't-
report that I issued?
Huh?
The numbers report I give out every week?
Mhm.
You have that?
Yeah.
You can see where, actually, the third page, you can see where the budget for fire overtime is $255,464, which also includes their standby time. The basic standby pay that they get at $500 a man. So, I mean, it's a huge difference. They're $260,000 over budget on that one line alone. Most of that is overtime spent sitting in the firehouse. We talked about that yesterday.
What's the distribution on that, Richard, in terms of item? Is it linemen? Where is the distribution of that overtime?
The majority is in the officers, the captains and lieutenants. They're paid the highest and they have to spend the most time on overtime in the firehouse, because if one of them doesn't show up because they have time off, then someone has to stay there for the next 24-hour shift, and it's all time and a half, whether they have fires or not. So, and if that person stays there 3 or 4 days in a row because nobody else is available, because they're taking time off for vacation or heli time or sick time, that person stays there, just continues to earn time and a half while they're sitting at the firehouse,
And
supervising.
what dictates that level of supervision, presence of it?
Good question. I hear NFPA all the time. National Fire Protection Agency.
Is that
There's
satisfied?
7 guys, you know, in a platoon, 7 firefighters. They say they have to have 2 officers on staff to supervise 7 people. And if a lieutenant or a captain isn't at the firehouse, then they don't know what to do to deploy fire equipment in case of a fire until an officer shows up.
Do they need 2, or can they function with 1?
Apparently they need both. They have both firehouses open.
Make sure.
Oh.
So there needs to be an officer in each firehouse.
I presume. You know, I don't have the level of understanding of this that the chief would.
Right.
Guess I have a question, actually, Mike Brody. I see, you know, you are certainly under budget on your overtime. For that, I'm thankful. But I guess my question for you is, do you have just maybe off the top of your head what our overtime expenses are during the summer for the different activities, 4th of July, Mayor's Cup, Battle of Plattsburgh, those types of events?
Or if we have any kind of water or sewer event, over, you know, off regular hours. A water break, whatever.
No, I understand that, but but specifically, I guess my question is, do you have
Events.
like what our overtime is for various events, or an estimate, what that might?
I believe the number you're looking for, I think we did a tally this year for, I want to say we were $5,000-6,000 for a single event. I do have hours down, I could probably calculate it, but I don't.
Approximately $5,000 or $6,000
For
per
an
event?
I believe that's what it was, but I'd have to get back to you with the exact.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to get a
That sounds
handle
about
on some of the
right.
numbers.
About right. I think for like a 4th of July weekend, I think it was in that neighborhood.
Thank you.
The majority of their overtime would definitely be for street maintenance during winter. Though,
Right, during plowing and
That's correct.
yeah. Let's just hope we don't have another major storm before the end of the year.
Doesn't look like it.
And while we're on the DPW subject, the person designated to maintain downtown through your department, is that item funded through the parking? Or is that,
The downtown cleaning staff, employee is funded through the parking fund, supervised by
Right.
public works personnel.
so that parking fund, if that were ever to go away, would that then become an expense of DPW?
Possibility.
Or the revenue from the new parking system. Probably, right? Or no? Yeah.
Is that item vacant right now? Is that item vacant?
No.
No, it's been filled, because I know
Yes.
it was vacated, correct?
For recreation.
Okay,
The person who was in that transferred to the
parking.
parking
Yep.
enforcement officer, and then someone from Rec Complex transferred into that maintenance position.
Okay.
My invitation earlier about possibly coming up with some thoughts or ideas about some potential cuts that may be considered. I certainly also extend that invitation to our soon-to-be new members of the council, Jeff and Elizabeth. Certainly will be part of this process in the very near future. Any additional questions? So I think we will need to set some dates for budget meetings for the beginning of the year, starting in the beginning of the year. My question is, what is the will of the council? Do we want to do it after our regularly scheduled meetings? Do we want to do it on different nights, a Wednesday night prior, or I guess I'm open to whatever your thoughts are on how you'd like to proceed, because our deadline is drawing near.
How about taking one whole day and hammer it out and get done with it? 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, be done with it once and for all.
As long as it's a weekend day.
Has to be a public meeting.
Has to be a
Right.
public meeting, right?
If it's a special meeting and we know that it's gonna be called at least a week in advance.
It's
you
gotta
have
be a
3
week in
days
advance notice,
Not
right?
necessarily. If you know, and if you know you're gonna call it over a week, you gotta give 3 days notice. But if you don't have such advance notice, then you gotta give it as soon as reasonably practicable.
Okay.
I'm only suggesting that because with 7 or 8 hours, you'll get it done. If you start working on it at night, everybody gets tired, it's like, oh, I'm done with this now. So another meeting and another meeting, and you try to put in 7 or 8 hours, but it takes 3 or 4 nights to do it.
Right.
Take a day and just get it done.
Can we have a public meeting on a weekend?
I think you might have some considerations of overtime. I don't know if you, technically yes, but whether or not you can get access to the space and have other logistical problems is, I don't know. I can't recall any time we have done it on the weekend.
Let me check my schedule.
Just a thought. Why couldn't it be a weekday?
Right. Theoretically, now, Elizabeth, I know that being a school teacher, you have
Yes, I have a full-time.
full-time job.
Now you got 2.
I'm not sure if this is, I'm not sure, can I speak from the audience? Not
Sure,
really.
sure, I recognized you.
Okay, I was just saying to Jeff quietly, we also have some DRI meetings. So based on some emails that we got, many commitments can,
Right,
that
on
as well.
Friday, I believe the
Well, we have,
January 4th
yes,
was,
we have a January 4th, we have, January 3rd, we have our normal meeting, then January 8th, and then the January 10th, so.
Mhm. But I know you're not available until 2:30 on the 4th, is that?
Check my emails. Actually.
Yeah,
What's happening there?
if we're talking about an all-day meeting, I mean, teachers are allowed to have days off, I can, with some rearranging and some appropriate time.
I'm not saying it's gotta take all day, but,
I mean, even if we maybe started at noon or 1 o'clock,
anything's better than, okay, after the meeting, here it is,
Right.
6 o'clock, and let's try to get the budget numbers done.
Right.
And
I would
everybody's
say-
fading away.
what's
I
that?
would say that the finance committee would have preliminary meetings and make recommendations that can be considered by, at a special meeting by the council.
My schedule's clear for January 4th.
And then, if anybody has recommendations, they can make those to the finance committee, who can sort through the numbers and so forth, and present a list of potential cuts.
I like that idea. What I would perhaps do is, or suggest is, take that recommendation or suggestion, Rochelle, and maybe plan, if we could, for a January 4th meeting, at least have it planned, and if we don't need it, then we can put it off.
Sounds good.
Is that, I don't know if that
I like the
works.
January 4th meeting. That's good.
You- Okay, so why don't we maybe tentatively have any recommendations or suggestions come to the Finance Committee prior to January 4th? And we will tentatively schedule a meeting for January 4th at noon. Is that,
What time is the DRI meeting?
I believe they're at 2 or
Anywhere
4?
between 10 and I would say 2:30.
Okay.
So is there gonna be a conflict with people?
The DRI meeting is going to last from 10 to 2:30?
No.
No,
I think
it's
you
meeting
scheduled
with
them.
the,
You scheduled your time.
it's
for
you
it.
scheduled your time. I know, I mean, there may be some overlap with some counselors to meet with the DRI, but I think we may be able to, if we do start at noon, perhaps get,
We're gonna need 4 or 5 hours
right.
of concentration to just get it done.
And this is to address the $100,000 figure? Or,
Well, to see where we are and start to make changes to the numbers and then see what that's gonna do to the tax levy and then see what's gonna do to the tax rate. Determine where we're gonna have to be to make cuts, where we're gonna get them from.
and what's been done to get to the $100,000 figure? I mean, I think everyone should know that.
It's all been in the worksheet for the forecast.
So, just so there's no duplicate
So
ideas.
what I have to do is sit down and take all the suggestions from the budget. I know what it's gonna cost to increase the fire payroll. I have to sit down and assume what we're gonna do to increase the police payroll and the ASPE payroll, and see how that's gonna affect the general fund. I know there's one increase I have to make for election expense, because it was under budgeted in the mayor's budget. We came in with a higher number after we put the budget together. I can't think of anything else we have to have.
For
Except for
2019,
Yeah, we had a list of
Yeah.
items we put together.
they're up on the right-hand side of the spreadsheet here. Yeah, unless, I don't know if there's any point in going through them right now, though. I think you need to
But
digest
there's a
them.
list that I have to put together. Say, okay, here's a sample set of numbers for the first draft of the council level budget. I haven't even done that yet because we haven't decided what we're gonna
The
do.
numbers are changing.
So we can put something together on that and say, here's where we are. And then go from there. We have till
In that,
January 14th, I believe.
Those figures are representative of current vacancies and current position vacancies, if any, and so on. Those figures? With the $100,000.
I don't know that. All I know is I can put together a set of numbers. Can go from the mayor's budget to the first draft of the council's budget, and we'll see what that's got to do to the tax levy to at least balance the budget.
Okay, so I guess to kind of finalize it, why don't we plan on a January 4th noon meeting? And prior to that, any suggestions regarding savings, cuts, hopefully even revenue increases?
And
Get to the finance committee, either Councilor Kelly, myself, or the mayor.
I can put out a first draft of the council level budget with the things in it that we've amassed in the list. If it's okay to send it to you and to all the councilors?
Let's work through the finance committee and then have them disperse it.
So that's you and Councilor Kelly?
Correct.
Okay.
Peter, when was that special meeting?
January 4th at noon.
Okay, so that's the date, so we want to announce
Right.
that? Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? Richard, I don't know if you wanted to give a year-to-date report on expense or revenue, or?
I don't have the report finished, haven't had a chance to finish it this week. I printed the reports, that's what I was doing downstairs when Josh gave me the high sign to come up. So I can generate that tomorrow. And what I was gonna do is put it together through now, instead of through the end of November. A lot of things have changed between the end of November and now. So I'll put it together and send that out.
Still have health insurance payments and things?
Okay. We have a run out for that for the month of January, to be consistent with what we've done in years past, because there's still December claims. We have the firefighters' raises, they're gonna be generated and paid on December 28th. That's gonna have a $500,000 impact as far as increased payroll in 2018. You'll see on the resolutions for tonight, we have to move $226,000 to the rec complex to cover off their deficit funded from the general fund. And we're also moving some funds from the water operating account to the water reserve that represents the infrastructure income collected for the water tanks, which is supposed to pay the debt service on those water tanks. That's 200,000, 201,000. We have to move that out of the operating account to have it set up so that we can pay from the debt reserve next year when it's due. And it's not part of operating funds. We don't have enough cash in that account to pay the $270,000 that's due to be moved to the capital reserve for the water fund. That's the infrastructure income for the Mead and Westbrook dams. So we'll move what we can before the end of the year next week, and then we'll have to move the rest in January. The water fund cash is, not to be funny, but drying up, and we need to do something with that revenue structure like we've been discussing for about 6 months. We have a few other entries we have to make next week to make sure that we shore up the expenses where they're supposed to be for 2018, such as bring up the firefighters' accrued liability for the 2 years of arbitration award decisions that haven't been made yet, and that just needs to be updated for the actual payroll for 18 and whatever the additional interest expenses that we owe on that for all of 2018 at 9%. I have to look at a lot of different cash accounts out there for capital projects and make sure we move the cash into the right places. We moved $1 million from the sewer capital reserve, excuse me, from the sewer operating to the sewer capital reserve that we talked about last week, because we're setting up for spending on their projects next year. There's a lot of capital reserve requirements in their capital project spending. That'll leave them roughly $1 million, which is a good base to have for their operations. So there's a lot of things to do yet, but in the meantime, we'll also put together the first pass of the council level budget with the things we talked about for the changes for next year. Get that out to you and Councilor Kelly.
You mentioned the recreation, basically reconciliation. And I don't know, are we going to have a need to go into executive session at all, or I probably will address it during the work session? Seems to me this is, at least since I've been on the council, an annual event that we...
Well, last year we moved an additional $145,000 to the rec complex fund to eliminate about a 4 or 5 year deficit that had accumulated. And that made the total transfer from the general fund be about $570,000. It was budgeted at $420, $426. What we budgeted this year at $261,000 for the transfer, just about half as much as what we did in 2017. Wasn't even close to reality. It wasn't going to cover their expenses. If we were going to make that work, they would have had to cut their expenses in half because their debt service alone is $230,000 for the marina and all their facilities and the marina building. So it's a cost structure that needs to be looked at. But budgeted for next year is $575,000. It looks like that is a relative level to keep it solvent, so they don't have a deficit. However, that revenue comes all from the general fund, and of course that's all against the tax levy. Taxpayers. It represents about, what, 5.5% of the tax levy. It's a big number.
Okay. Any additional questions for Richard? Okay, moving on. Agenda items from the departments to be approved by committee and recommended to the council. 3.1 request the Plattsburgh Parking Advisory Committee be amended to include following representatives: a member of the Clinton County Legislative Office selected by the Clinton County Legislature. This member will be appointed to a 2-year renewable term, will serve without compensation. Any questions? Is that at the request of the county, or was that just?
It was at the request of the county legislature, and I felt it was warranted considering the close degree of cooperation we're gonna need with them to make this work.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering where it initiated.
Yep.
Any additional discussion on 3.1? 3.2, request from the city chamberlain to adjust the 2018 budgets for the general fund and the rec complex fund, increasing the interfund transfer expense and review accounts by $226,389 respectively, therefore increasing the appropriation in the general fund and increasing the estimated revenue in the rec complex fund each by the amount of $226,389. That's what we just spoke about, right? And I think I have some additional questions that we can bring up there. I'd like to bring up during the work session regarding that. 3.3, request from the city chamberlain to increase the water fund debt reserve by $201,322 through a transfer of the 2018 year-to-date infrastructure investment charge related to the water tank serial bond debt service. Questions? I'll entertain a motion to have items 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 moved to the agenda for our regularly scheduled weekly meeting.
So moved.
Move by Mayor Reed, second. Roll call?
Counselor Hensel?
Yes.
Counselor Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Item 4, old business. Anyone have old business to attend to? Like address? New business? Seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee, Budget Committee.
So moved.
Move Mayor Reed, second. Roll call?
Counselor Hensel?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Let's begin our work session. This will afford you any opportunity to have additional conversations on items on the Common Council regular agenda tonight.
Well, I guess I'll start with the transfer for the recreation fund. I guess my question is, you know, we see where we stand at this point financially. And I guess my question is, what is the general, where is the general shortfall coming from? I mean, is it operation of the gym? Is it like, where are we falling short here as far as, are we short on membership with the gym? Is there something that needs to be addressed? I mean, how, it just seems to me that something needs to be addressed, that we, within the past 2 years, there's, Richard, I think you just said close to $500,000 that we've had to move from the general fund over the 2 years.
Seems like it's been longer than that.
It's $145,000 additional to the $426,000 that was being transferred from the general fund as a regular yearly expense and revenue source, expense on one side, revenue to the other side. The 145 was to cover let's say call it 4 or 5 years of operating deficits. But this year, since we only funded $261,000 as a transfer, we came up way short, $226,000 over to balance them out. So yeah, it's 145 plus 226, so 360,000. But if the results for the last 5 years up to the end of 2017 make sense, we're operating at a deficit of say 30,000, 40,000 a year. This year's deficit is just because it was way under budget as far as the revenue. In relation to what we were going to do for expenses, we would have had to cut the expenses dramatically to stay within that fund. And it just didn't happen because there's too many programs that have to be supported.
Are the revenues trending downward, or are they?
They're lower this year than they were last year. You looked at the numbers last night, and you saw where gym memberships were down, and also soccer revenue was down. pretty dramatically over, 2017's results to now.
Do we have that?
I'm sorry?
Do we have that? I don't know if we have that screen or not.
I can give you the figures from what I have from rec budgeting. The 2017 actual revenue from the entire department is 568,000 and change.
561 and change, you said?
568.
568?
Yeah.
That was revenue for,
That was revenue from the entire rec department in 2017.
okay.
The year-end projection for 2018, now these are figures that were based on estimates from 4 or 5 months ago when we were doing these. But there was estimated to be 575,000.
And it's 500,000 now.
It's 500,000.
The report I gave you yesterday, I don't know if you have those with you.
I don't have it with me. It's in my car.
It's 500 even.
500 even.
Through yesterday.
Okay.
So, right now, we're projecting about a $75,000 shortfall in revenue.
Well, and some of that is based on, as Rich always said, it depends on when the money hits. A lot of money comes into rec from indoor soccer, and some of that is brought in 2018. Some of it bleeds into 2019. It all depends on when people sign up and when they pay. And that's about $155,000 in total revenue.
For
the
soccer?
season. Yeah, just soccer alone, great.
The total revenue is about 68,000 less at this point in 2018 versus the total 2017 results.
Okay.
I didn't bring that report. I should have kept the second copy of it that I gave you because the individual revenue items, some are up, some are down. But we just looked quickly last night and saw that gym memberships were down and soccer were down. Those are the majority of the reasons for the $68,000 shortfall.
Now, we'll, hopefully, if we do something with the Wilcox Dock Marina, if that comes through, that could conceivably bring that revenue.
The proposed budget that I submitted for 2019, and this was in consultation with the leaders of rec, the total revenue for the whole department was 676 and change, and that assumed about $25,000 in additional revenue brought in, assuming Wilcox Dock is fully operational for the season.
I'm sorry, Matt, I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, the proposed revenue for 2019 was $676,000, and that includes the assumption of $25,000 in additional revenue from Wilcox Dock.
Okay.
And I think membership is being addressed most recently through the purchase of the equipment.
Correct.
And several pieces were purchased, and that was the thought to
Yeah, that was
increase membership.
$11,000 for almost 20 new pieces of equipment for the rec center. There's been tremendously positive feedback from the existing membership, and I do know that several people have signed up as a direct result of that.
Okay.
So then, if I'm looking at this correctly, we're looking at approximately $100,000 increase in revenue between what's being projected for 2019 compared to what was budgeted for 2018?
That's the projection, yes.
And so there's the 25,000 that you're projecting for Wilcox. Where's the other 75,000 coming from?
An additional $14,000 in revenue from event rentals at the Crate.
Great soccer.
Crate soccer, yeah.
Looks like 17,000 more than budgeted before.
$12,000 more in gym membership fees. And some of the other projections, there was some shuffling of the line items, so it would be more intuitive from a budgeting standpoint, so I would have to give it a little closer look to match one-to-one.
I guess maybe that's something that we might want to look at on January 4th or prior, because we're looking at a $100,000 increase in projection over what was projected for 2018, and our projections for 2018, or our actual numbers for 2018 are 68 to 70,000 behind what was projected for 2018.
was going through that analysis. The transfers from the general fund are gonna be up roughly 88,000 over what we're gonna have this year once we put the 226,000. We're going up to 575,000 from roughly, it's gonna be 488 this year. So roughly 87, $88,000 increase in the transfers, which is offset by that $100,000 in additional revenue. But it's still requiring, you know, that 88,000 to come in from the general fund over the level we're gonna be transferring this year. Now that 575 is already budgeted in the general fund transfers in the mayor's budget. So it's not part of any increase that we're seeing due to additional items. It was already there.
Thank you.
It is a rather sparse agenda tonight. Is there any other items you'd like us to extend discussion on? Seeing none, I'm sure we could take a few minute recess, but before we go, I do want to certainly thank the two councillors that will be leaving the council after many years of very greatly appreciated service. Councillor Plattsburgh and Councillor Dowdle, it's been wonderful to work with you, and I wish you all well in your further contributions, which I know you'll be making to the region or elsewhere. So thank you very much for all your service.
Okay. Thank you.
Shall we reconvene in 15 minutes at 5:30 then? Thank you.
Did you get the stack, Josh?
I got the stack, I just didn't get that.
Downstairs.
I'll give you a stop.
Absolutely. Give me a stop.
Sign it.
They're all for Glenn's house, so you need to sign them as mayor.
Oh,
Josh
okay.
already initiated
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
So I've changed them all to mayor pro tem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
We'd just like to go to some
Decorations.
You haven't seen it?
No, no, but it seems, oh, I know that, but I'm reading how others were inspired, but I didn't read any inspiration from the Harlan side of it.
Oh, inspired what?
Matt.
Oh,
We
yeah.
did, sir.
Oh, that's right, that came out.
Yeah.
I look at those guys. Look at how you guys drive by our house.
I think I can see it.
Thank you.
I'll see if I can get somebody out there.
Yeah.
Listen,
Right?
remember the competition?
I've got you everything. Yeah. Because I got so many.
The rec? I know what he's saying. Last year we transferred. We did it right in January, right after. I don't think we did it right away. It seems like we did it, so, I mean, I don't know why it was so budgeted.
But I think something.
I know who could tell you.
Huh?
I know who could tell you. It's up aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
But that was last year, we were in September.
So, you didn't realize, Josh, that this is it?
For some reason, I thought there was one next week.
So did I. I did too until yesterday.
Yeah. I couldn't, I tried to think back and I couldn't remember, I guess.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Isn't there normally, I thought there was one the last week, but maybe not. It's funny to think back, I can't remember.
No. It's all just a blur.
Right?
Yeah, I wasn't doing the trail last week. I wanted to come this week here,
So I'd like to know what we can.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot
It's
like
okay.
that.
Just a question for clarification about what exactly is the January 4th meeting? Is that your, just the budget committee is meeting?
No,
The whole council?
the whole council.
Sorry, just like,
Yeah, it's, okay.
it's square in the middle of a Friday afternoon.
So you said you get out at 3:50. So I wondered why. Okay.
Yeah, on
Okay.
Fridays, my contract allows me to do square
Right.
15.
But
On a Friday afternoon, so
Adjacent
we're
to the
coming
weekend.
back from
From the
vacation.
break.
yeah.
I'd have to have it.
Well, what we could do, I mean, certainly, if you have any thoughts, I think,
How long do you anticipate that meeting is going to be?
well,
I mean, I can come here, obviously.
yeah, I think it's gonna last a while.
Okay, then I'll come in directly after school, so if you're gonna be here.
But don't you, what time are you scheduled to meet with the,
I don't think I don't know what's going on. Because it sounds like there's gonna be a slate of time set aside that's not gonna coincide with this. I'm available after 2:15, and that says it's
it'll go from 10 to 2:30?
2:30, so. So the January 4th, the budget, I will be here as soon as I
That's fine. Yeah, no, yeah, it's a public hearing, so you can just show up when you can. But, what you may, if you want to, I mean, if you go through and you have some thoughts or some ideas, send them to either Mike or myself on,
I'd have the documents.
you don't have the budget yet?
Oh, so I just sent it to you.
You need a copy of the budget, yeah. Yeah, you should have a copy of the budget, proposed budget.
I would say, I'm not using mine. I mean,
Jesse joined the press corps.
you do well with it. Ooh.
Some little party gifts for you guys. It's been awesome. But this is something just to, as a token of appreciation, but also something to help out along the way. It's a little reminder
Whatever that means.
You will, as soon as you open it.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty used to it. It could be.
I tried Amazon with my other email, and I was just clicking around 10 minutes ago. I was like, oh, she's done that. She's done. I think it's because she's in the
I wish it was something to eat.
No, I mean, they authorized the reduction in size so the council's done, but in order for the applicant to change.
Yeah.
Just double check.
Absolutely.
Okay, but the council done.
Just want to double check. Probably should have done that off camera.
Sorry, I have my back.
Is it? They gave one to.
Oh, all right.
I saw that coming.
That's great.
You gotta stay well hydrated.
Okay. Very appropriate, yes.
I was actually going to do a Dale thing.
What? Oh, really?
I was going to make,
Campfire.
I was going to make you each bracelets and take 12 carats and tie them around the thing. Here's your 12 carat bracelets.
That's gonna buy me.
It would have been so Dale-like.
You're welcome.
You were like a secret.
Open that now. Is it a gag gift?
No, it is.
Now I am.
Yeah.
Depends on what it is. I will have this with you always.
Transformers on Derby Street today. Options for burying or relocating elsewhere down the road.
No, there is not.
There is an option. You can't bury them, you can't do anything with them. Well, yeah, it's expensive, but we got.
How far did you get?
Another type one would like to.
It's all gonna depend on.
I still love the houses that are happening. That's why the matter is, just.
Well, you have to build underground walls,
Yeah.
put ventilation in, and
pretty expensive.
All right, well. Once there's a more defined plan.
Reminds me of being home.
Get done.
Coffee, everybody.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
No, she recommended in a previous life. It's been 20 years.
Well, that can happen. I don't want to. Do you want to go to exec session?
Let's call this meeting to order, please. I'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed,
Present.
Counselor Armstrong,
Here.
Counselor Kelly, Counselor Dowdle,
Here.
Counselor Ensel,
Here,
Counselor McFarland,
he's here, he just stepped out.
Counselor Kretzer,
Here.
Just a couple comments. First of all, I'd like to announce the local law P8 of the year 2018 council override of tax caps based on the initial discussion your council and finance committee had a moment ago. Public hearing held on Thursday, January 3rd, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers, 41 City Hall Place, Plattsburgh, New York 12901. Be it enacted by the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh as follows. The local law authorized the Common Council to adopt a 2019 tax levy in excess of the limit established by New York State General Municipal Law, Section 3-7. This local law shall take effect immediately upon approval of the mayor and filing with the New York Secretary of State.
What time was that again, Colin? I'm sorry.
5 p.m. on our first organizational
That's your
meeting
meeting.
of the year. And I do thank the Finance Committee for beginning to accelerate, which I think is going to be a very intense discussion on the state of city finances. I think you knew this year, last year, and I think we'll know for another couple of years that this is pretty difficult, and that's proving to be true. We all know the city is burdened by very modest revenue growth and opportunities and an unrelenting increase in expenses and unfunded mandates. Our work is certainly cut out for us over the next decade or two as our taxpayers cannot fathom the sea of red ahead of us. I'm sure we'll come up with some novel solutions for it. But we all agree this is a wonderful city, and we have a most sobering responsibility to cease increasing our expenses and obligations, right-size what we can afford, and continue to do so. So I know we'll be working very intensively in the new year to make that happen, and I appreciate all the work that the Finance Committee and the Council is putting into this. So that's all I have tonight.
resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on December 13th, 2018 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer, second by Councilor Dowdle. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we should wait until Councilor McFarland gets back, so we don't have to have a potential
Break
tie.
ties.
Now we don't hear them.
Oh, okay.
Armstrong?
Okay, never mind, I forgot about it.
Yep, that's fine. We can continue.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending December 19th, 2018 in the amount of $474,009.39 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Wenzel, second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. I'd like to direct you to the reports from the fire and ambulance responses in your packet and the minutes from the Infrastructure Committee, and ask for any additional council reports, beginning with governance strategy and city operations. Councilor Spencer?
I have one update. For the past number of months, Councilor Armstrong, Richard Marks, and a number of other departments have been working with representatives from OpenGov who were educating us on the merits of their strategic planning and budgeting software. We had a lot of intensive discussions and a number of conference calls. Every time we had a question, they were able to come back to us and kind of show us how their software could potentially save the city money, both in time savings for employees and also provide a whole new level of transparency to the public, so they'd be able to see almost in real time how the budgeting is taking place and how those impacts, how they would impact the city. Councilor Armstrong and I, through conversations with them, made them understand and realize that each department that was involved saw merits in the software, but however now we can't, obviously with our current fiscal situation, budget any money toward expenditures of the software at this time. However, I think Councilor Armstrong and I share the value, or share the opinion that this software could provide a lot of value in the future, and if it's something that the council could budget for in the future, I think that it could yield some really positive results. So in conversations with OpenGov, we let them know that that was what the committee decided, and they're excited to hopefully work with us in the future, but understand that at this time we can't move forward with any expenditures. Councilor Armstrong, do you have any other reports? No.
That's it. Thank you.
City infrastructure, Councilor Ansel.
We had our monthly meeting last week. As you can tell, the minutes are representative of that meeting. Other than that, I have no additional report.
Thank you. Finance and budget, Councilor Ansel on behalf of Councilor Kelly.
As the mayor indicated, we met prior to our work session, and we do have a difficult task ahead of us. A lot of decisions that need to be made. We have scheduled a meeting for January 4th, beginning at noon, an open meeting, public meeting to discuss the 2019 budget and hopefully get some input on some cost-saving measures and hopefully maybe some revenue-generating ideas as well.
Public safety, Councilor Dowdle.
No updates.
Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor Armstrong.
No updates.
And MLD, representative from MLD.
I think Mike is the...
Resolved, the reports as listed are hereby ordered received, and any written reports are placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office. Moved by Councilor Ensel and second by Councilor Dowdle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. No correspondences or recommendations from boards at this time. Please continue.
Resolved that the bills ordered by the Common Council for the week ending December 21st, 2018 in the amount of $1,854,594.54 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Ensel, second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is an opportunity for persons addressing council to please come forward. At this time, we ask you to please address items that are actually on the agenda tonight. There will be another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well. Seeing none, let's continue, please.
Resolved that the membership of the Plattsburgh Parking Advisory Committee be amended to include the following representative: a member of the Clinton County Legislative Office selected by the Clinton County Legislature. The member will be appointed for a 2-year renewable term and will serve without compensation.
Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? Roll call?
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the City Chamberlain to adjust the 2018 budgets for the General Fund and the Rec Complex Fund by increasing the inter-fund transfer expense and revenue accounts by $226,389 respectively, thereby increasing the appropriation in the General Fund and increasing the estimated revenue in the Rec Complex Fund, each by the amount of $226,389.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer and second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion.
Once again, I just want to repeat, I think this is something, since I've been on the council, a practice that we've done that I think we need to look into a little closer as to why we need to keep making these transfers.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the City Chamberlain to increase the water fund debt reserve by $201,322 through a transfer of the 2008 year-to-date infrastructure investment charge revenue related to the water tank serial bond debt service.
So
Moved by
moved.
Councilor Dowdle, second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
No travel requests at this time. Are there any resolutions for initial consideration?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
I'd like to offer for initial consideration that the City of Plattsburgh accept the Plattsburgh City School District resolution dated December 12th, 2018, with an amendment to item A, number 2A. These were delivered to the City Hall on December 12th. I don't know if they were distributed. They came by courier from the school district address, but they were available in today's paper, and I also have additional copies.
Could you state the amendment, please?
Yes. Let me just get these handed out. We're going to go to item number 2, under transfer of ownership, item A. Within 60 days of the completion of the repairs specified in section 1 above, which completion of repairs should be certified in writing by the Plattsburgh City School District's engineers, and also a certified/licensed bridge inspector's report the Plattsburgh City School District will convey to the City of Plattsburgh, and the city shall accept all of the district's rights, title, and interest in the footbridge and underlying real property. The amendment is to include a certified licensed bridge inspector's report to be prepared and submitted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion.
That was just a motion for initial consideration.
I'm sorry? What was this?
You just made a motion for initial
That's the
consideration. It's just on there. There was no, I didn't hear any Rule 4. There's.
We need to implement Rule 4.
Do you want to, Rochelle Armstrong? Did you want to?
Sure, I'll move to implement Rule 4.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on the item itself?
I'll go. I'll say I'm not really. I don't love this offer. To me, it's where we just talked about how we're settling with the fire department is putting the city in financial straits. Clearly, we needed to settle with the fire department. It's been a long-term liability. We need to be wary about accepting other long-term liabilities. However, I am in favor of this bridge being fixed. There are a lot of people that benefit from the bridge, especially students. I think it's somewhere around 40 to 50 students, especially since they're coming from some of the most impoverished parts of the city. However, I don't see why exactly the city should be taking title while the city school district is relinquishing themselves of this liability completely. The city, I remember approving an offer, and I thought the city school district administration had accepted it, of some sort of shared responsibility in this regard, which I think is fair. But considering our budget deficits and our budget problems, I do feel a little wary about taking on long-term liabilities like this. Now, I will note that Senator Little and Assemblyman Jones have been very forthcoming in providing funds. I do think the bridge should be rebuilt. I thought it should be rebuilt, or not rebuilt, repaired 6 months ago or 5 months ago, whenever we were talking. And I do think we should continue to talk with the school board, because I do think we should definitely repair the bridge. I am a little wary about accepting everything on the city's back, especially considering where we're seeing ourselves, especially considering what Chamberlain Marks was just saying in the budget meeting. I don't know what everyone else's position is.
My question, and I don't know if this is for you, Richard, or for you, Dean, in looking at 2E, where the district shall pay the city of Plattsburgh the sum of $50,000 in consideration of the responsibility to maintain the footbridge. Are we permitted, if we receive that money, are we permitted to put it in an escrow account of some type, putting it aside, or that would generate interest, or?
Sure, we can put it in a restricted fund, but if we just keep it in Glens Falls National Bank, it'll be 0.2%. The interest is pretty nominal.
Right.
When you invested in something like a certificate of deposit with the bank, or send it to New York class, which will have higher interest rates. But if the intent is to spend it, just a matter of when we spend it versus how long we save it.
Right. I guess my question is if we were legally able to put it into.
We can restrict it, yes, for that specific use. Yep.
Thank you.
So $50,000 at the prevailing interest on our cash balance with the bank works out to what, $100 a year of interest?
0.2%.
I think we've heard reports that we've been donating about $30,000 of annual maintenance on the bridge, but certainly a liability the city has to reckon with as our budget becomes increasingly tight. What are your cost projections and estimates on behalf of the city taxpayers for the cost of the ultimate rebuild or replacement of the bridge? I think everybody agrees that the bridge will need replacing. The number of years is somewhere between 15 to 20 years from now. So we really need to start putting that money aside for approximate replacement costs, about $2 million in 15 or 20 years from now. What would that work out to? Put it $100,000 and $150,000 aside each year towards that?
If the decision is made to replace the bridge.
Oh, so then we'd be simply going down this rabbit hole again in another council in 15 or 20 years about a bridge that has failed once more. I mean, don't we think we have the responsibility of figuring out for the taxpayers what we're going to do once and for all, and have the resources to be able to support that, rather than doing what the city of Plattsburgh has done for too long, just kick the can farther down the road and hope things are dramatically different in the future than they are in the present? Because, to be honest, I don't see it. I
think we do what we've always done. This has been a long-standing part of our infrastructure, whether, the question of whether we've owned it or not, we've maintained it. It's of vital importance to my constituency and that of Councilor Kelly. It's of value because it allows for more convenient traffic the east side of the city, the west side of the city, not only for students, for people who walk, recreate, believe that Jesse Filer a vital connection for the Saranac River Trail, It's an investment that we have decided to make over a long period of time. I believe that it's one that we can budget for. And, you know, there are many items that 20 years from now we're going to have to make provisions for, and we will. But I think that this is a really important investment in our infrastructure.
I don't think there's a single person in this room that disagrees with the need to or the desire to have an attack bridge there. We're just now figuring out how we're going to pay for it. And $150,000 plus $30,000 of annual maintenance and upkeep, that's a lot of money. That's, I mean, $180,000 elsewhere in the budget on a year-to-year basis. We'd be looking around this room and figure out which 4 people we're going to be laying off.
I'd like Chamberlain Marx's comments and evaluation on the kind of preparation we would need to make to provide for replacement in 20 years.
What did she say?
You were broken up, Rochelle.
Okay, so if I understand the mayor correctly, you're positing that $100,000 a year would need to be put aside in order to fund an eventual replacement in 20 years. Is that, am I clear about that?
Maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, roughly, yeah.
And you're projecting that the cost of replacing that bridge would be about $2 million.
Plus or minus, correct.
Yeah, so how are you arriving at that figure?
Consensus discussions with the engineers this summer when the city leadership and the school district leadership hammered out an agreement.
I think that, you know, there are potential opportunities in the next 2 decades for there to be grant funding available, you know, to be able to somehow, you know, work through, you know, state, federal agencies to see if there's money that could be made available through this project. So it's not you know, a definite, you know, dollar amount, but I think that there are possibilities for, you know, funding streams in the future.
Does anybody see any intrinsic problem with what we agreed to? I thought we had an agreement to earlier with simply sharing this responsibility with some other entity, be it the school district, the county, or some other entity, because clearly, in my belief, in my analysis of city finances, the city just can't afford to go it alone on this project, and I can actually give you another 10 projects that we'd easily love to see have happen, but the city simply cannot afford it. We have a premise on this council that if we make a proposal to spend money, we're going to have to also make an equal proposal of where we're going to spend the amount of money somewhere else. And here I think we're just violating our own promise to ourselves. For obviously something we all want to see happen, but we need to figure out some way to partner in this. Partner with the school district, partner with the counties, partner with the state, partner with some other entities that will also benefit from this. Because the city taxpayers really just can't afford to have just one more burden on our plate at this time.
Well, and I would say that's the thing that gives me the most pause, I guess, is the city school district's reluctance to have any sort of part of the bridge. I imagine there's got to be some negotiation we can do with the city school district, but it seems that their resolution clearly spells out that they want nothing to do with the bridge. And I'm curious as to why exactly that is. If it's clearly, I don't know if they don't think they can afford it. I don't know exactly what their rationale for why they can have nothing to do with the bridge, especially since I thought the administration was seriously considering the partnership aspect. I'm not entirely certain what happened there, but I am a little concerned if they know something that we don't. I do know that the school district did have a meeting yesterday morning, I believe, regarding the NICEC contract going over the bridge, and that was probably bringing in some sort of benefit to the school district. So now the bridge doesn't even have that asset with it. it's concerning. And I do think we should negotiate with the school district and fix this bridge, especially since our state legislators have come forward and really come forward and said they have the money for us to do it, or for the school district to do it, I think. But I don't know. I'm concerned. I do want this bridge fixed, but I'm concerned with their response. In the past 5 months, I haven't heard any response from them until they said, no, we want the city to take over the entire project for themselves, and that, I don't know. Something worries me there a little bit.
I might add that I thought it was quite generous for the council to be actually willing to partner equally in the bridge. After all, the amount of revenue we generate in property taxes each year is half what the school district generates. So really a 1/3, 2/3 for the city versus the school district might have made even more sense given our relative fiscal position. So to offer to equally partner with us, I thought was a very generous concession on your part, and I appreciate that. I really hope we can have some discussion to get to that point. But I might also mention, I think it'd be very hasty to simply decide this tonight. Normally, we agree to not bring things up, especially this kind of gravity in this sort of short notice, without even informing our colleagues in advance that this may be coming.
I can remember a number when you've asked to put forward an item for consideration has profound impact, and vote on that very same night.
Initial considerations are very appropriate and gives us a chance to talk about it and converse and see if we can work something out with the city, with the school district. Any further discussion?
Is anyone interested in tabling this and see if we can discuss further with the school district and putting it off for the next council meeting?
Do you think the school district would be interested in?
No, I wouldn't want to speak for them, but I believe this has been ongoing, lengthy process. It does say if it exceeds the cost of the $500,000, it's kind of the end of the deal, because I had concerns that what if they get under the bridge, they start working on it, they find bigger things. 500,000 would be the top, so it would end the project.
I also read in the paper that there was only 400,000 that was secured.
I understood it to be
I don't know, are they kicking in 100 of their own, or, I don't know.
And then the 50 would be turned over.
Any further discussion?
It's right here, $500,000.
Roll call?
It says on 5,000.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
I don't know. I want this, but no.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Per C3-11B of the charter, I hereby state my intention to defer decision on approval or disapproval of the measure. Next item. Any new business or council reports? Any closing comments from the public on any issue of mutual concern?
Good evening, I'll be back. I'm Jesse Fowler, I'm with Friends of Saranac River Trail and various other things. And I'd like to talk briefly about the bridge. And there are a couple of things that I really wanted to bring up that I think you really should consider. I know you're done with it now. Councilor McFarland made a good point about discussing this further. One of the points that I would like to bring up is that I think the city and the school district should indeed discuss this further, because I seem to be caught in the middle of this several ways, but it should be discussed further by both bodies, whether it's a special session or not, and that session, the joint session, should be an open meeting. I believe that executive sessions have been misused, typically in nonprofits and many governmental agencies, and I think there are aspects of this that call out for an open meeting between those two bodies. I believe Councilor Kretzer, or perhaps it was Councilor Armstrong, and I apologize to whichever one of you it wasn't, talked about getting money for possible work on the bridge in the future. Can't remember which one brought that up. I'm sure you're all aware of the fact that Plattsburgh is one of the trailheads of the Empire State Trail. And that seems to be just, I mean, the grant application is just waiting to be written today, because this is an existing part of, now that we want to incorporate it into the Saranac River Trail, Greenway, it's an existing part of the trail, which will become part of the trailhead to the Empire State Trail. And I don't know how many of you, I wander around down there sometimes. We go on treks, we call them, for the Friends of Saranac River Trail, and see the people who are around using the footbridge, using the river for various purposes. And I can assure you that, how many of you fish? How many of you fish? Then you probably aren't aware of the significance of the area just at this end of the bridge. It is one of the best fishing places for landlocked salmon in the Saranac River Trail. If you go there on a weekend morning, not this time of year, a weekend morning, and look at cars that are parked there, listen to the people who are talking there with their fishing poles, and look at the license plates on those cars. Those people, based on this type of research, looking at the license plates on a weekend, listening to what people are saying, how they're saying it, they're all Canadian anglers. It's a tourist attraction. If you are interested, if you're a serious angler looking for landlocked salmon, that's where you go. People are driving from Montreal and beyond to get to that spot by the bridge. So we've got something that fits into, not just logically, but actually into the Empire State Trail and these other aspects. So I think that, yes, and I think it was Councilor Armstrong who said that this idea that we have to put the money aside year by year for this, for replacing it 20 years from now, that's something that's interesting to discuss, but I think that we have an issue here with this bridge. Maybe you can get this city and the school district together in an open meeting and deal with this, because we're getting to a point now where, believe it or not, spring is around the corner. I mean, it's not this corner, but it's coming soon. And we're going to be very quickly at a point where we are not able to repair that bridge for another year. So I just hope you will reconsider this, look at these options that are there. And I agree, yes, you should discuss it openly, but the last one little thing that I'll say is, in matters like this, I always am reminded of the comments that a very good friend of mine, a brilliant person who deals with municipal governance, and she said, when there's an impasse or this type of thing where something is stuck and you can't get beyond something, she said, they're never talking about the thing at hand. And I listened to some of the things that were mentioned here tonight, and if you start listening to some of the arguments that are made on both sides, but mostly against repairing the bridge or taking possession of the bridge, people weren't talking about the bridge.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Any other individuals like to please come up and address the council?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's the night before Christmas, and all across the state, these creatures are steering. Very early and late. The stockings are hung by the chimney so neat. As the plotting continues, these lies and deceits. While we lay all nestly and snugly in our beds, nothing but dollar signs dance through their heads. They spend millions of dollars to market their creations that will kill so many across this great nation. But all of a sudden, there arose such a clatter. There must be a group that can handle this matter. A group with a message who will say what the heck. A group who won't be targeted, a group called Reality Check. This movement of teens against a marketing campaign of an industry that causes such sadness and pain. So we say to you now as we continue our fight, don't be targeted this Christmas, and to all, a good night. The average age of new smokers in New York is 13. The good news is Reality Check teens across the New York state are leading the revolution against the tobacco industry. Season's greeting from Reality Check.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
I'm Maria Lyons from Reality Check.
Thank you, Maria. Well presented, thank you.
Any other individuals like to please come up and address the council? Any issue of mutual concern? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Dowdle, second by Councilor Spencer. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Spencer?
Yes.
Thank you all, folks, and have a wonderful holidays.
Thank you. Nope, you can start doing it. Okay, yeah. Yes. Oh, wow. Wow.
I have stuff for you guys, just one second.
Get him home in bed.
I just told them we're going up to the urgent.
There you go. That's, we were there Saturday morning with my wife. And just get on. Everybody's got it. There's nothing they can give you. Just go.
Well,
But that's,
maybe they can give them a nebulizer.
Oh,
are you hearing her earplugs?
Yeah.
All right.
coming tonight.
Here, I'll sign that. Something? Here.
Thanks for coming tonight.
There you go.